Assalamu alaikum. Once again, we're bringing you another live show. This is a special show at a time we usually don't do it this early, but let's see how it goes. We're bringing you this show because this is like basically like a part two to the last show that we did, which dealt with the the question of where are the Muslim men in the context of standing up and defending the Muslim community, particularly here in the United States, right? We talked about the lack of Muslim, especially the Muslim men standing up to this rampant bigotry that we see facing Muslims. And so there was a recent incident at the ISNA convention in Houston, Texas, 2018, that just passed. And unfortunately, it forced me to, or motivated me to do a part two. It's like, I guess we'll say it's unofficially part two to the last show that we did. Okay. We're going to give everybody a few moments to join in. I see people coming in now. We're going to give people a few moments to join in. Inshallah, your Juma was good. You're having a good Juma today. But yeah, we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what took place and the unfortunate continued display of Muslim weakness when it comes to standing up to these bigots, as you see on the screen. This was at the ISNA convention in Houston, Texas, where, as you can see, the white racist bigots showed up once again, like I said, with the guns. They showed up with the guns, and unfortunately, it doesn't appear that the Muslims were prepared. The Muslims didn't have any self-defense prepared. They weren't out there, with a security force or anything to stand up to these bigots. All right, now we're going to talk about who did stand up, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's give everybody a chance to get in here. Wa alaikum salam. How do you say the name? Hukuba? Or H. Kuba? Welcome to all the others who are also joining in as well. So we want to get this started. Let's just give everybody a few moments to see if we can get some more people to join in on the live stream. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put this on Twitter. Let everybody know that we are here live, and if they want to join in, by all means, join in. Yes, join us live. Alright, we got a few people in here, so we'll go ahead and get started, and inshallah, as the show goes on, we can get more people to join in. Inshallah. Okay. Alright, yeah. So as I was saying, we just had the ISNA convention, and it appears that once again the Muslims were. Matter of fact, and there was an article too. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that, because I just saw an article. Somebody said something about this very thing that I was just talking about. It was a tweet. Yeah, from a Isra Ibrahim. This is on, looks like it's a Twitter, right? I think it's a Twitter post, or maybe this is Facebook. No, maybe this is a Facebook post. But I'm going to read it to you guys. Well, matter of fact, you know what? Let me see. Can I put it on the screen? Let's see if I can put that on the screen, inshallah. Let's see if we can get this put on the screen so you all can see. All can see what I'm talking about here. All right, let's see what else. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, that's it. Here we yes, perfect, mashallah. Oh what? Oh, that's not it. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. I want you to see this part right here. Yeah, can you all see that? Let me see. Okay, yeah, you see right there. Okay. All right, yeah, there you go. Very good, very good. So you guys can see that. So this is the part we want to show. Can we zoom in on that? Is there a way to zoom in? Okay, I think that's it right there. Okay. All right, so yeah, so you can see, this looks like this was from a Facebook post. So this person, Millions of Dead White Poets Society, says a really important reminder from Sister Isra Ibrahim on the ISNA 2018 conference and its organizers. Their failure and inability of ISNA to enforce self-defense measures themselves, soft politics, and the continued anti-blackness in representation and what's that practice. So a number of issues there, but definitely talking about what I've been talking about. And matter of fact, that's the response that I said. I said I did a show on this very topic a few weeks ago, right? Because I'm not the only one who's recognizing this fact, right? That these bigots, as I told you, Malcolm X told us decades ago, it's the same mentality that you have to show them, you have to speak the language that they understand. They don't understand turn the other cheek and passive resist. They don't understand that language. That doesn't do anything to them. They don't respect that, right? That doesn't move their emotions where it makes them think and say, oh wow, we're being a little, no, the devils don't think like that. Okay? And again, let me say it again, I'm talking self-defense. And by the way, you know, let me deal with that issue too. Do you know that after I did that show, I went on Pal Talk, right? I went on Pal Talk, and did you know some Muslims actually were like opposing what I was saying? Did you know that? And this once again just shows the weakness of the Muslim community. Some Muslims from the UK, I'm like, what do you know, I'm not talking about doing anything, you know, illegal or wrong. I'm talking, again, I repeat, self-defense. That's all I'm talking about. And let me be clear, let me just say, in case somebody tries to misconstrue. When I say self-defense, I mean just that. Somebody's trying to attack you or a mosque or your community or something, and you stand up to stop them from attacking. That's all. That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about doing anything, going out to hurt anybody or harm anybody or anything. That wouldn't be self-defense anyway, would it? So I'm not talking about, but I want to be clear because you know how people like to misrepresent and misconstrue what's being said. So I'm clear that my definition of self-defense is not going out and harming innocent people because somebody else did something. No, I'm talking about self-defense, meaning in the sense of an immediate harm coming your way, you in that moment take a stand to stop the person who's aggressing upon you. Okay, that's all I mean. Okay, so I want that to be clear. You have to say that nowadays because people will try to misrepresent what you mean. Okay, so but like I said, even on Pal Talk, some Muslims said they, you know, had seen the show and they were opposed to what I was saying. And I'm like, how? What are you talking about? I'm talking about self-defense. But I was like, you know what? This is the problem. This is the problem with the Muslim community. This is the problem right here. Whether we're in the West, this is the problem. You're weak. You're weak. You're soft, and these people are going to continue to run over you. Right? So I had brought up. I was like, you know, I've even seen cases in the UK where, you know, you have these the EDL and the BNP and stuff like that, you know, running up in Muslim stores and threatening and running up in masjids and, you know. So I said, you know, you guys should do the same. You should defend yourselves. I said, now I know in the UK doesn't allow, you know, they don't have any weapons. The citizens aren't allowed to carry guns or anything like that. But nonetheless, you can still be out there as with your bare hands in self-defense. But people were opposed to what I was saying, as if I was saying to do something harmful or terroristic or something. Like, no, I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying just Self-defense. Just, have some brothers stand in front of your masjid and protect it from people who try to run up in there like these EDL and BNP characters. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. But they were opposed to it. They were afraid of what I was saying, as if I was saying something, you know what I mean? Something other than self-defense. But this is the weakness that I'm talking about. It was some brothers and some sisters. I'm like, wow. But this is again what I said, especially with the women. Please don't be upset with me. But look, we know women are emotional. That's why the first video was about the men. Where are the Muslim men? We know women are emotional, so we know the self-defense thing, and it's not your position anyway. That's for the men to handle that, as it says in the Quran. The men are the protectors and maintainers of the women, right? So we know that's not your position. You're emotional. You don't like violence. You don't like fighting or whatever. That's where the men are supposed to come in and stand up in self-defense. So I could understand the sisters being emotional about it or whatever, but there was even a few Muslim men when I was in Pal Talk, talking about, I'm saying too. Oh, like, man, it's sad. It's very sad. But let's get to this here. So as you can see, this sister here, Sister Isra Ibrahim, said white supremacists show up to threaten Muslims at ISNA, and the Houston Black Panther Party, and that's the part I was going to talk about later, that again, as I talked about in the other video, it was other people who showed, and we're great, by the way, and let me thank them. I want to send, if you haven't been thanked, Huey P. Newton Gun Club, Houston, Black Panther Party in Houston, Texas, we want to thank you. On behalf of the Muslims, I want to thank you for standing up for the people who unfortunately were too weak to stand up for themselves. So I want to thank you for coming out. I don't know if there's any Muslims amongst you. I'm sure there are. So but I want to thank you as a group, as an organization, all of you, whether you're Muslim or not. I, on behalf of the Muslim community in America, want to thank you for showing them how they should stand, how they're supposed to stand up to these bigots. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May Allah reward you for standing up in defense of the Muslims when they obviously are too weak to do it for themselves. But as I said before, it's not like they don't have the ability. It's not like the Muslims do not have the ability to stand up for themselves and practice their Second Amendment rights as American citizens. It's not like they don't have the ability. Obviously, they are just too weak to do so. So thank you, Huey P. Newton Gun Club and Black Panthers, for standing on behalf of the Muslims to protect them against and have a show of force to show these devils, these white racist devils. I'm very clear. I'm talking about all white people. Repeat, I'm not talking about all white people. I'm talking about these racists that were there, these white racist devils who were out there with their guns trying to intimidate the Muslims, as they've done on several occasions and I spoke about that in the last video. So let's finish reading what Sister Isra Ibrahim says. She said, white supremacists showed up to threaten Muslims at the ISNA and Houston at ISNA, and the Houston Black Panther Party shows up with guns to protect them. Not sure what to expand here. Either the fact Muslim organizations have still not developed extensive community self-defense protocols with guns. Thank you. And this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said on the last show, didn't I? Didn't I say that? Right? I said this. This is exactly what I'm speaking about. That the Muslims should be prepared. Have security around your masjid, around your conventions, and that way, and then when the Black Panthers and stuff want to show up, they show up and add on. They'll just be an additional security rather than being the only security. Right? To the brothers and sisters, you're gonna have to stop being passive with these bigots. You need to take a cue from the Black Panthers. Take a cue from Malcolm X back in his time. You have to earn your respect. They do not respect the Martin Luther King way. They do not respect the Gandhi method. They don't respect that. The devils only respect a show of force. Malcolm understood that. The deacons for self-defense understood that. The Black Panthers understood that. When are you? And of course, even back in the time of Islam, Allah knows that. He said it. I talked about that verse in the last show, where Allah says, make preparations with the steeds of war and such, to do what? To show the enemy that you aren't the ones to be messed with. So even Allah instructed, and I even tell this when I had to talk to the people on Pal Talk who seem to be, you know, timid and intimidated and fearful of that. All right. But as the sister says, she says, not sure what to expand here. Either the fact Muslim organizations have still not developed extensive community defense protocols with guns. Exactly what I just said. Exactly what I said in the last show. With guns. That's right. Because these people are carrying guns. Because if one of them decide, and matter of fact, I was just reading one of the articles where they said one of the haters, the bigots, he ran across because, you know, the police had a barrier between the two groups. So they said one of the haters, one of these white racist bigots, ran across and started punching one of the other protesters. Now, I don't think it was a Black Panther that he did that to, because I'm sure they wouldn't handle that. But he, you know, because there were some other anti-white racist protesters there. And let me give a shout out to them too. Right? There were some other people who were out there, and they were white. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about all white people. There were some white protesters counter-protesting the white bigots. So good white people protesting the white racist devils. So they said that in one of the articles that one of the bigots, the racists, ran across and started punching one of the other protesters in the face. So that shows you that right there, they're prone to violence. So what if there wasn't insecurity and one of these guys decided, you know what, I'm going inside, I'm going to run inside the convention and I'm going to take out some Muslims. What would you do to stop them? What would you be able to do to stop them? Nothing, right? Because you're not prepared. You don't have any, you're not armed. These people are armed. You need armed defense, plain and simple. So the sister says, once again, that they still have not developed extensive community defense protocols with guns. The fact most of them, like ISNA, rely on soft liberal politics, which is true, I've said this, and Zionist friendly under the guise of interfaith, or just thoroughly anti-black in representation and prayer. And that's another issue as well. But we won't talk about that right now on this show. But that is another issue. The lack of, what people are saying, the lack of, you know, inclusion. But that's another show. That's another show. She says, radical black fighters here fighting with their guns and hearts in true solidarity to protect soft Muslims who otherwise would demean their movement, work, and literal beings, all in an effort to assimilate into a settler identity and culture. Wow. Very true. Very true what the sister said. Very true. And I've said this, again, I said that on the last show as well, that a lot of the softness, unfortunately, seems to be coming from our immigrant brothers and sisters. That's where a lot of the softness comes from. And I believe that sister touched on what the problem is. There's this effort to assimilate into the settler identity culture. You want to identify with the people in power. Now, if you weren't Muslim, perhaps I could understand that, right? Because you want to assimilate. You want the appeasement. You want to appease the people in power, the white dominant society. You want to appease them. But you're Muslim, so there's a difference there. As a Muslim, we're not supposed to be cowering and lowering ourselves down, because we're supposed to believe that we have the standard. We have the standard, and others are supposed to be looking to Islam. Not that they would not us looking to them to be appeased and to be like them. We're supposed to have our own strong, confident foundation. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Doesn't seem to be the case. It doesn't seem to be the case. So yeah, this is this article. This what's the name from this sister, Isra. All right. So as you can see, they were there though. Look. As you can see, you can see who it is out there with their guns. See the guy right here with his little cross on him on his backpack over there in the left-hand corner. So these are Christians as well. So the Christians, there you go. You want to talk all that love and this and that. And again, we talked about that before as well. That they talk all that love and Jesus, this and that. But as you can see, it's just a bunch of talk. In reality, they don't love their enemies as they claim Jesus taught them to do. They don't want to pray for them. As you can see, they're armed with guns. They want to kill their enemy. As you can see, they want to kill their enemy. All right? They don't love them. They're not showing love. Yet he has the cross on his little backpack or bulletproof vest or whatever that is. So it's a bunch of talk. They don't love their enemies. That's talk. That's nonsense. They don't believe that. They talk Jesus, but they don't really believe what that book teaches them about love and all of that, as you can see. As you can see, they don't love it. No, they don't love any of that. They don't love any of that. All right. But unfortunately, as you can see here, it was the Muslims, man. I mean, excuse me, the non-Muslims. And like I said, there may be Muslims amongst the Black Panther Party. Allah knows. Maybe, I don't know. But in any case, let's just say that the Muslims themselves didn't have an organized defense. The Black Panthers, as you can see here, showed up with their armed weapons in defense to show a show of force. And like I said, they understand how to get a message across to the white racist bigots. See that picture right there? You see that picture right there? That's how you get the message across right there. Let them see, hey, we got guns too. And that's what I said in the last show. Let them see, hey, we got guns also. You're not just going to you're not going to run over us. You're not just going to walk all over us. You're not going to abuse us freely. We have weapons to defend ourselves with. Wa alaikum salam, Muhammad Zakaria. What you say? I agree regarding the immigrants who I belong to. They did it best. I can't post the link. Okay. Real talk. As a group, African American Muslims are the real deal when it comes to being unapologetic. Muslims, they stick to the family sooner. They don't mix. Yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Welcome to all those coming in. By the way, let me take a moment too to say that if you want to support your brother, Mr. Islam Answers Back, we have the links in the description of this video, where if you want to make a donation to help and support our platform, our cause, our work, you can do so with the links in the description of the video. You can donate straight through our website, through PayPal. We even have Patreon. I'm sure you guys maybe are familiar with Patreon, which is a new way of supporting YouTube content makers. So you can also join our Patreon and make a pledge, and you can make a monthly pledge. These are all various ways you can help out our platform and the work that we do. You could also purchase our book, our DVB. We got a number of ways to help. All right, but back to the subject. So as I was saying, yeah, you know what I mean. So we got to give props. We got to give salute to the Black Panthers for standing in defense of the Muslims when the Muslims, unfortunately, did not stand up for themselves. So big up to the Black Panthers. Big up to the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. I appreciate it. I, as a Muslim, appreciate what you did, and I want to thank you. And I already sent them a message on Twitter, so they already got the word from me. I sent them a message on Twitter to thank them for standing up. But as I said, Muslims, this should be you right here. That should be you standing there with your firearms in self-defense. That should be you in that picture. If anything, it should be you and the Black Panthers standing. You and the Huey P. Newton Gun Club standing. but not just them by themselves. And again, we appreciate them standing up on behalf of the Muslims too weak to stand up for themselves. But that picture should be a picture of either the Muslims themselves standing there with their firearms, or at the most, a picture of the Muslims and the Huey P. Newton and Black Panthers standing together. That's what that should be right there. That's what that should be right there, for real. You know what I'm saying? That's what that should really be right there. So I don't know what it's going to take for the Muslims to wake up. Wa alaikum salam, Mo Shaf, welcome. I don't know what it's going to take, but, you know, I mean, what can I say? All other than just give props, you know what I mean? Just give props, you know? Legend Killer, didn't I mean, we talked about that before on some of our past shows, right? I believe you asked me that question before, and we talked about that question. But hold on, let's save that for the end. Right now we got this topic here about the weakness of the Muslim. Why are the Muslims still being weak in the face of blatant and aggressive open bigotry? Why, Muslims? Why? Why are you doing that? Second Amendment, right? Second Amendment. Exactly. It's not. Did you hear about Alex Jones getting caught watching transgender? I heard about him being banned, but you know what? I did see somewhere where somebody mentioned that there was a screenshot of his dashboard or something, or his browser, something like that, and it showed like some porn or something in the background. I don't know, something like that. I did see something like that, or hear about something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, but again, as I said, brothers and sisters, you know, this should not be only the Black Panthers. Look at them. See how they're organized? That should be Muslims though, man. That should be Muslims walking armed, organized, disciplined as a unit, just like the Black Panthers are doing right there. That should be Muslims walking right there. Or again, Muslims along with the Black Panthers, or the Black Panthers along with the Muslims, because the Muslims should have been there first as their own security. So this picture right here should be Muslims, men walking armed. At the most, Muslims along with Black Panthers joining them. These are actual pictures from the ISNA convention outside. So as you can see, the Black Panthers showed up with ready to roll if need be, armed, ready, disciplined, walking rank and file, soldiers. Here you see another shot, and if you look to the side, you can see that there were some other people who are on the side of who were against the bigots, and you can see some other white people there, which is good. That's good. We need that. That's another thing that we need in America, and talking about America in particular, that we need to see like that. You need to see more white people coming out to stand in opposition to the white bigots. Let them see that you're not white bigots, that you as a white person are standing against the bigotry and you're doing something about it. You're not just standing on the sidelines, but you're actually doing something to show that you're actively involved in opposing those from amongst yourselves who are practicing bigotry and racism. So that's good to see there. But as you can see, once again, the Black Panthers were there in force, armed as a unit all together, fist in the air for the Black Panthers. But again, where are the Muslims? Where are the Muslims? My question in the last show that I did was, where are the Muslim men? And yes, exactly, where are they? Where are they? You're in America? Yes. And America affords you the same right that Islam affords you, which is your right to self-defense, your right to bear arms in self-defense as well. So what are you afraid of exercising it for? These people are demonstrating that they are trying, that they're letting you know that this is, to me, this you see right here, this is a threat. This, to me, that's a threat. Especially when you come to our convention with your guns. That's, to me, that means you're threatening us, because you're not. That's not self-defense, right? You're not defending yourselves. You came to us. You came to our convention. We wanted to peacefully assemble to have a convention. You came with your guns to our convention. To me, that's a threat. That's saying, hey, you know, you're threatening us. You're trying to intimidate us. Right? This to me, this is a demonstration. This is a show of a threat, because you came to our convention with your guns. So that means you want trouble with us. Right? So, you know, I mean, really, man, it's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. And, you know, and like I said, this is part of Islam. Self-defense is part of Islam. And a clear part of it, too. It's not like you have to do some deep scholarly work. No, it's clear. It's right there in front of your face. Clear verses about self-defense. Clear verses about being prepared, arming yourselves in self-defense. I repeat, in self-defense. So that's part of Islam. That's part of the Islamic tradition that Allah clearly spoke about. But the Muslims are not dealing with it. And you know what? Isn't there a prophecy that is related, is said to be from the Prophet, peace be upon him, right? Where he speaks about the last days. And he speaks about how, you know, the other nations would gather to attack the Muslims. And he spoke about how the Muslims would be weak. And I believe it says that one of the companions asked him, you know, like, why? You know, or he said they would come to attack the Muslims like a pack of wolves or a pack of dogs attack a bowl of food. And one of the companions said, why? Would we be few in number or something like that? And his response was, no. The Muslims at that time would be great in number, but they would have the weakness in their hearts. I believe the Arabic word, it says the wan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, please excuse my pronunciation. But the wan in their hearts. And then the companion said, what's that? He said it would be the love for this dunya, love for the worldly life, love for the secular life, the worldly life. And because of that, even though the Muslims would be great in number, they'd be weak. And that's exactly what we see. Weak everywhere all over this earth. Can't do nothing about Palestine. Got all kind of advanced weaponry. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Egypt. You got weapons. You got tanks. Saudi be buying tanks from America. Tanks from the British. Jet fighters, F-16s, and all that, and can't do nothing to help the Muslims in Palestine. Shameful, man. Shameful. Muslims suffering and being slaughtered in Myanmar. Right? In Myanmar, the Rohingyas. And again, nobody sends any troops to do nothing. No troops being sent to help rescue them, man. SubhanAllah. I wish I was a world leader. I wish I was. I'd send troops. I'd send troops to Myanmar to help. I would send troops right away to Myanmar to help rescue those Muslims. Send troops to Israel, to Palestine, to rescue the Muslims in Palestine. I would, if I was a Muslim leader, but I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not. I have very little political power. But I'm telling you, if I was a world leader, if I was the leader of a country, and we had the military force, by Allah, I would send troops to rescue the Muslims in Myanmar and Palestine. It's shameful, man, that the Muslims, that some of these Muslim countries have power, man. It's not like they don't have it. They have billions of dollars in that oil money. They have weapons. They have tanks, jet fighters, and all of that. But what is it for? What is it for? Like Saudi, what do you have all that stuff? Why are you buying these weapons from America and the British and doing nothing with it? What is it, just to protect? Perhaps that's what it's all for. Maybe it's just to protect themselves. Just to make sure that they can stay in power. Right? Maybe it's just to make sure that they can remain in power. That's it. Just protect the kingdom. And when I mean the kingdom, I mean themselves, not Saudi Arabia as a whole, but make sure that the royals, protect the royals. How about that? Protect the royals, keep the royal family in power. Maybe that's all that. Maybe that's what it's for. Because they damn sure ain't doing nothing for the Muslims. So that prophecy that is attributed to the prophet appears to be true. It appears to have come true. We are numerous in number around the world, but we are weak. We are weak. The Muslims are weak. Can't do nothing. I mean, like I said, the Myanmar situation is horrible, man. But no country is doing anything. And maybe not even one country. How about like do like the Westerners do? Form a coalition with Saudi and Iraq and make your peace with Iran and let Iran make a coalition of the Muslim nations, and all together, instead of one nation doing it, do like America does. Make a coalition with with the Western countries. So make a coalition with Muslim countries and you send troops. Y'all all together send troops to Myanmar. Y'all all together send troops to defend the Palestinian brothers and sisters. You all together send troops to Syria or wherever it needs to be. Just like they do. Nothing shameful what I'm saying, because that's what they do, don't they? That they got their NATOs and stuff like that. Well, form something you too. Form something like that. Make a Muslim version of NATO, where it involves the Muslim countries that have power and clout. And if you're under a threat, you all together get together, have council meetings, and say, we got to send troops. We got to send troops to Myanmar. We got to send troops to Syria. We got to send troops to here or there to defend the brothers and sisters being slaughtered or genocided or whatever. But that's not happening, and that's sad. But that's what it appears. The prophecy that the prophet is said to have said, it appears to be true. It appears that it have come true. Numerous Muslims, but weakness, and other countries are attacking the Muslim nations like a pack of wild dogs, and nobody's doing anything about it. Even worse, unfortunately, that the Islam, and I said this before in past shows, that when I first became Muslim, I always looked at it, and it's, of course, this still holds true, even the fact that Muslims aren't doing it. But Islam is supposed to have the answers, right? When I became Muslim, that's what I was excited about. That Islam has the answers. Islam has the solution. Islam is supposed to be the shining light to give an example to other countries. But you're not even doing that. Muslim suffering have to go to other countries for a better life, man. What is that? What the hell is that? The Muslim nations is supposed to be offering the comfort, the refuge. Instead, Muslims have to run for refuge to non-Muslim countries where they're not wanted, where they're disliked, where they're hated, where they're discriminated against, where they're abused with racism and bigotry, because their own Muslim countries can't provide the refuge for them, man. This is sad. This is sad, man. This is why I told you before in previous shows that, I'm just holding on to the Islam. I'm just holding on to the Islam. You can't even really deal with the Muslims no more, man. So I just, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even really deal with the Muslims no more, man. I can't stomach it. Still believe Islam is true, though. Still believe Islam is true to my heart. But the Muslims, man, I can't. I can't, man. It's sad, man. It's sad. Islam is supposed to have the solution, man. Our nations are supposed to be the shining examples. And it was like that at one time in history. It was like that. There was a time when you look back where, you know, it was the reverse of what we see today, where the Europeans and other nations, they used to come to the Muslim lands to study, to get knowledge. They used to go to Timbuktu. They used to go to Iraq. They went to the Muslim nations because the Muslim nations offered knowledge, refuge, human rights. Now it's a travesty now. Now it's the travesty of that. Now the Muslims can't even get refuge amongst them. Now you got to run to the West. That's a shame, man. I mean, that's shameful that you can't even provide refuge for our own Muslim people. That instead they have to run to the non-Muslim for a better way of life. Imagine, listen to how that sounds. Listen to how that sounds. They have to go to the non-Muslim nations for a better way of life. Listen to how does that sound? Does that even sound right? That doesn't even sound right. How are you going to get a better way of life with the non-Muslim? How is it that they're providing a better way of life for you when it's the Muslim nations that's supposed to provide the better way of life? It's the Muslim nations supposed to provide that. They're supposed to be the ones providing the better way of life, meaning a society that you can live in comfortably, where you won't be abused, right? Where you won't be abused based on color, gender, right? Even religion. I know people like to claim that the dhimmis are mistreated. That's not true. Right? I did past videos about that as well. Islam allows the people, the dhimmis, the non-Muslim citizens, to live comfortably and peacefully in the society. Islam is supposed to be the shining example, but we've clearly fallen from that position. Islam is the society that's supposed to provide the fair rights, the equitable rights. Provide you refuge, right? Provide you the refuge. Provide you the economic comfortability that you would need to provide food for your family, jobs, and Islam is supposed to provide all of that. The Muslim nations is supposed to be the ones to provide you economic stability and all of that, but they're not, right? They're not. That's why these people have to go to other countries for a quote-unquote better way of life, to seek to provide for their families better. That should be the Muslim nations. That should be the Muslim nations. So, back on how this ties into this subject again is what? How this ties into this subject is, as you see in this picture, the Muslims are weak. And it takes other people to have to stand up for the Muslims. Because the Muslims themselves, why didn't the ISNA convention, I'm sure they had to hear about it. I'm sure they heard that these anti-Muslim bigots were going to be there, show up. I'm sure they got word of it. So why didn't they say, well, you know what, we need a Muslim security force. Let us hire a Muslim security force to stand and you know, why didn't they do that? Why did it take the Black Panthers, the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and other anti-racist protesters to do it? And again, that's fine and well. Like I said, I appreciate it. I thanked them several times in this show, and I'm thanking them again. But again, I still feel that the Muslims should have been able to do it themselves. And these people would have just been an additional security support, right? They would have been an additional security support rather than the support itself. You see what I'm saying? They would have just been an additional security support rather than being the security itself. So, exactly. I'm looking at some of the comments. Islam encourages justice. It says try to be just. Yes, exactly. Exactly. What's this? Can join a discussion at Titans TV on Google Hangouts. This will give your channel more exposure. Yeah, I guess so. When does this this Titans TV come on? Like, when do they do their show? Is that a Muslim? Are they Muslims? What's the deal with Titans TV? Are they Muslims? Who are they? I'll have to find out. But yeah, sure, I can. I think I gotta. I don't have a. I have to make a Google Hangout because I've seen people do shows with Google Hangout, and that looks like that's very interesting. So I'll have to create me a Google account. They are Kemet's. Okay. So I'd have to make an account to get me a Google account, a Google Hangouts account rather, so that we can do that. But yeah, that's where we are. So as I said, this is just a follow-up to the last video that I made, which was asking the question, where are the Muslim men and why are they being weak with these bigots? And so this show follows up on that. Are the Muslims still being weak with these bigots? And the answer is apparently so. Apparently so. So I send out the message again that Muslims, as the sister Isra Ibrahim also said, you need to start making protocols for self-defense. Now, as I mentioned before, many of the African American or black Muslim masjids have security, and I'm not just talking about Nation of Islam. I'm talking about Muslims that say they are Sunni Muslims or whatever, that they, many of them have, security measures. You know what I'm saying? So it's really our immigrant brothers and sisters who need to jump on board and start to take these bigots seriously in their threats, and start to prepare yourselves with security. As I said, whether you have to hire a Muslim security force or get brothers to volunteer to do shifts of security, you need some security. It's very important. Okay? Very important. Okay? All right, so with that, let's see. We'll take a few comments now. Okay, Legend Killer had mentioned about. Now, this has nothing to do with the subject, so anybody who watches this video here on out, whether you watch the live stream now or you watch it later, this part, these doesn't have anything particularly to do with the subject. But it was about in Surah 18 that some people say the sun sets in the ocean or the muddy water or whatever. Very old claim. Very old claim. We've heard it for many years, and I mentioned. I think you mentioned it. I think you brought this up before, Legend. Or if it wasn't you, someone had a similar question. But I've talked about this on previous shows. But again, the Quran is not saying that the sun literally is setting in a pool of muddy water. It's not saying that. It's clear that this is the descriptive language, the metaphoric language that is used in the story of Dhul Qarnayn as he travels to a far point and he sees the sun setting. It would be just like, I said this before, it would be just like if I live on the East Coast of the United States and I take a trip to the West Coast and I get there at a certain time in the evening and I say, wow, man, as soon as I got off the plane, I rode out to the beach and I see the beautiful sun setting in the Pacific Ocean. Right? It's descriptive. It's the descriptive of the view, but I'm not saying that the sun literally is setting in the Pacific Ocean. I'm just describing the view. And that's the same thing here. There's no history, as far as I know, of Muslims as a whole believing that the sun scientifically sets in a pool of muddy water somewhere. I have not seen that. Okay? So, that's that. You said, does Quran mention anything about inner peace? Yes, the Quran does mention about inner peace. This is why it talks about the prayer, for getting up to pray at night. There are verses that talk about the prayer and getting up to pray, and this gives you, a closeness to Allah. It brings that tranquility, that sakina, that peace. So yes, the Quran does talk about it. The Quran does talk about the inner peace. The Quran does talk about getting through hardships and things like that. That after the hardship comes the ease. So hold on. It gives you that inspiration to hold on to Allah. Matter of fact, that reminds me that, but you know what, man, I've been so busy. I'm trying to get, just a lot of things been going on, and I'm trying to get back. But I remember I mentioned some months ago that I was going to start another channel which was going to be called the Islamic Inspiration. That just reminded me. But my life right now, man, so many things going on, so many hectic things. I'm trying to maintain, you know, bills right now. I'm behind on, you know, I don't want to give on my person, but I'm dealing with some things, you know what I'm saying? And so, unfortunately, this is why I ask you for your support, brothers and sisters. In order for me to, you know, I say it all the time. This is why I ask for your support. You know, because I try to fit these in at the times that I have, but I don't have much free time anymore. Because you know, I'm trying to deal with some things. You know what I mean? So I mean, I mentioned that some time ago that I wanted to start another channel that would only deal with Islamic inspiration, right? Meaning, like on that subject, the subject of inner peace, the subject of dealing with hardships, and you know how, you know, the Quran talks about that and how Allah gives you comfort. I want to start. I still want to do that too. I want to start a channel called Islamic Inspiration. There will be no debates there. It won't deal with any questions about, you know, I won't be debating or refuting anti-Islamists. It'll be dedicated only to that subject matter, which is the you know, Islamic inspiration. How is, you know, it's talking on that side of Islam, the side of Islam that talks about the comfort that you get from the prayers and closeness to Allah and how to get close to Allah and things like that. And the brothers and sisters said yeah, it was a good idea, and that they would support that channel as well. But you know, life is hectic, man. I really don't have the time right now to get to that. I barely have time to even do this. You know, I mean, the last show I said I was going to try to get on schedule, and it's been a few weeks since I did the last show. So mashallah, I tried to fit it in this time here. But that's my goal. That's what I want to do. But I need to free up the time to do it. But unfortunately, the way things are hectic right now in my life, I got to dedicate more time to working right now, you know, or working to make money. Let's put it that way, to pay, you know, to pay bills and stuff like that. So again, any of your support would help in that area. And again, so with that being said, as I said in the link to the video, there are means where you can help to donate, inshallah. Let's see, God talks about patience in Surah. Yes, yep, he talks about patience. He talks about the sakina, the calmness, the comfort, all that, the tranquility, closeness to Allah, the benefits of it, all of that, it can be found throughout the Quran. So, all right, brothers and sisters, with that, we'll go ahead and end the show. To the Muslim men around the community, around the world, we have to take a stand, man. And again, a stand in self-defense. Self-defense. That's all I'm talking about, is self-defense. Self-defense. We definitely need to stand up to these bigots. And the Black Panthers have shown us example. But again, we already had the example. We already have the example. You know what I mean? Appreciate what the Black Panthers did. Thank you very much. And at the same time, Muslims, we already have an example, though. It's not like this is new for us. We already have the example of standing up to oppression. We have the example already. We have the teachings already to stand up against oppression, to fight back in self-defense, to be prepared for those who are trying to do us harm. We have that example. That's not something foreign to Islam. We already have that already. We just need to put it into practice. But again, thank you to the Black Panthers, thank you to the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and others who are out there as well in defense and in support of the Muslims, who were unfortunately too weak to stand up and show a show of force for themselves. So we thank you for those who stood up on their behalf. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and end the show. One more time, remember, if you appreciate the work that Mr. Islam does and you want to support us and our platform, you can help us and make a donation through the links in the description of this video, from our website, the PayPal link. We now have a Patreon. You can make a pledge to support us with a monetary amount monthly through our Patreon. You can buy our book. That would help. Buy our DVD, Taqiyya, the Lie They Made Against Islam. You know, there are various ways that you can support our platform and support the work that we do. All right, with that, I will take my leave, and I say Assalamu alaikum. to the brothers and sisters, and peace out to any non-Muslims that may watch or be watching. Take care.